Hello, I'm Carolyn Thompson. Welcome to Carolyn's Art. I'm really glad you could join us and watch the show tonight. Speaking of shows, we're going to have a brand new show coming on Access 21. It's called Creative Crafts, and Bonnie Ankney will sponsor it, and she'll host it for you, and I think you're going to really love it. If you're into art or crafts, be sure and watch the Access 21 calendar for it. It'll be coming on sometime in January. There's something I'd like to show you before I get started tonight. This is an issue of Fire In. It's the Alexander Art Club magazine. And I am so tickled I'm in it. I just couldn't resist showing you one of the painting that I did that they published. Let me see if I can hold it up here for you. There we go. There are instructions in this magazine on this painting, a nice picture of it, and then they did a nice little article on me and even told about my show on Access 21. So I was really, really pleased. Tonight I have something for you that is really, really sharp. You're going to love it. I'm going to use a limited palette on a one paint, white. I'm going to have a black, wet background. This painting will look, when it's completed, almost like a negative type effect. And if you hope to sell your paintings, you may want to try your florals with this technique, because this puppy really sells. It doesn't matter if I paint daisies, roses, poppies, it doesn't matter what type floral you do on this black background with white paint. People just love it. I don't know why. They just really, really do. Okay, I'm going to get started by using my 2.5-inch blender and finish filling in. This is a black medium. It's exactly like the Magic White, only it is black. Put it on the same way. I started a little bit of the center, but I can go ahead and finish it for you. I generally like to spread it out a little bit before I fill it in. Helps it flow on a little smoother. Now you want to fill in all the crevices on your canvas with this black medium the same way you do when you use Magic White. It doesn't take long, and you test it the same way, doing the little fingerprint test that I've shown you how to do so many times. Let me get this on. And you know, the painting that I've completed that you saw when the show opened is of roses on a black background. The last show I did was roses, so I thought I'd change this one. It'll be the same effect, but it'll be a different flower. I'll probably paint poppies on this one. Maybe Catherine Jenkins' poppies, the one that I didn't get to show you on the technique tape. Didn't have time to show you hers. She's a wet-on-wet artist and does beautiful, beautiful work. So I'll show you her technique for painting poppies, and I'll do it on this black background. I think you're going to really, really like it. Okay, just about done here. Doesn't take much of this black medium. It looks like I have an awful lot on there, but I don't. As I smooth it out, it seeks into the crevices of my canvas, and it's not quite as wet as it looks. Now, just as I do with Magic White, once I finish this, I'll go over it with another brush and take the excess off. That looks nice and even to me. Let me set this down, grab a clean, dry 2.5-inch brush. I'm just going to lightly go over it, smooth it out, and it will also remove the excess paint. I have something on here. Let me see if I can get that off real quick. There we go. See the paint that's on this clean, dry brush? That was the excess that I did not need that was on there. Now, when you're doing a painting with this black medium, once you've completed your painting, make sure you put it someplace where the dust and the lint will not get to it. I was a little careless with this one, and you may or may not be able to see. There's a little lint on it. This black is like a magnet for lint. So put it in some place where it's going to be lint-free to let it dry. Okay, we're only going to use one brush tonight. Other than that large 2.5-inch brush that I put the black medium on, we're going to use a flat Badger brush and get started on this painting. I have other paints on this palette, but that's from a previous painting. We're going to ignore all of these colors. I'm going to stick with titanium white soft and this flat Badger brush. Okay, going to load my brush and decide where exactly I want my composition. When you start off on a dark background, you have no base for your flowers, so you have to use your imagination and your creativity and decide where you want your flowers to be. What I usually do on a dark background is to place a dot where I want, let's have a poppy there, and we'll put one over here. Now notice they are not centered on this canvas. One is to the right and one is to the left. They are staggered. One is higher and one is lower. If you prefer, you could start off with a very light circle to let you know exactly how to build your poppy. After you've done this several times, you won't need to do that again. But I'll start out. We'll be able to blend this little circle in when we go. Let's say we're going to have one. This is going to be rather large right there. And we're going to have one right here. Now the painting I'm going to do for you will be the same technique as that one. It just will not be the same painting. Okay, normally when I'm doing any type flower, I can already tell looking at this that those are a little higher than I wanted them to be, so no problem. All I have to do is wipe it out. If you find that happens on your canvas, just go back into your black and redo it. Let's bring this one down a little lower. Say right there. And then one right here. I think I'm going to like that a lot better. So you change it before you start, once you put it up there. Okay, I'm going to sketch for you the petals that go on this poppy. Before I put the stems in or anything else, I'm going to sketch. Well, the stem will be right here. So you know that this is going to be the vanishing point where the stem connects to that flower. That will be the vanishing point on this flower. If this poppy is going to face a little bit to the right and up, we're going to have 4 main petals on it. One of them will be right here. Now they're almost like the shape of an eye. And one will be here. You may want to bring that one up a little. All of this we can paint over, so don't worry about your sketch. We're going to have a large petal here and one here. So that's all you need to get started. 1, 2, 3, 4 little, just the indication of a little sketch. While we're at it, we'll go ahead and put this one facing a little bit this way. Again, here's the one of those 2. Remember the large petal that we have in the back? There are 2 of them. Okay, and that's all you need to get started. Now, sometimes when I do florals, I'll paint the leaves and the stems first, then the background, then the flower. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and put the stems in, but then I'm going to do the flower, then the leaves for you. So let's start with this bottom poppy right here. I start by doing the back petal back here. The first stroke, I'm going straight into the canvas, touching on the edge of the little sketch I made. The first stroke is going to be curved, almost like a C, or part of an S. If we continue that, it would be an S, but you have to curve it just a little bit. Then you use overlapping strokes, touching and pulling in from the outside. Reload my brush. The first stroke on this petal will be curved, but each of these strokes, all of the strokes are coming to the vanishing point, headed toward that vanishing point. Overlapping strokes, leaving this dark area. We have a center to put in here. You want to leave that dark area. I start the bottom petals, these 2 bottom petals, by starting in the middle, touching and pulling them down. Middle and around. And when I get to the edge, I curve it around just a little bit. We're going to blend this out with the bunny brush in just a few minutes. Going to reload my brush. I'm going to bring this petal in front of this one, but I still start in the center first, touch and pull down. Going to start in the center, do the other half, and I'm going to bring it in front of that one, so I need a little clearer, cleaner paint. Of course, the black that's on your canvas mixes with your paint as you're coming around. We're going to put a nice soft little belly on it. And at this point, don't worry about anything that's happening in here. If you happen to go out of your little sketch, we're going to take care of that. No problem. Okay, now at this point you may want to sketch in where you want your other petals to go. Let's say we're going to have one here. I usually like to put one there. We could have one here that comes right around under the bowl of this flower, and we could even put a small one out there. Once you have your sketch, you could put your petals anywhere you want. Just make sure, watch for composition and form when you're doing it. Let's start right here on this one, touching, pulling in. Let's go over here, touch. Now this one I'm going to pull around under the little belly, so I want to go back and get a touch of white. Let's do this one right here, from the outside in, from the outside in. We have a petal down here, and a little bit too much paint. You want to load your brush pretty much so that it's smooth on each side. Put a little tiny suggestion of a petal down there, and we can put the suggestion of a petal over here. Okay, now I want to wipe off the dirty, contaminated white that I have on my brush. You don't have to clean it at this point, but you want to get as much of that black out of your brush as possible. I'm going to go right back up here at the top where my little circle was and redefine that one stroke, get rid of that circle. I'm going to load my brush on each side. I'll try it with this brush. I may have to go to my, I'm going to put some little scalloped edges on these poppies, and I really prefer a bristle brush for this, but I'll try it with this one first and see if it'll work. What you do is touch on the outside edge and press up. I think I'm going to prefer my other brush, so I'll move to it. White, clear paint. Touch and press. This one does much better. The bristles are a little stiffer and you can control it. Skip over to this one. Put a little edge on this one. You can change the shape of your poppy at this point. Make your petals larger or smaller. It's your preference, it's your painting, and you do what you please. I'm going to drop down to the center petals and do the same thing. Just touching and pressing up very gently, and then you can pull some of that white back down into your petal. This one goes over that one, remember, so I'm going to start in the center. Touching, pressing, and we'll bring it right over that one. Touch, touch, and then you go back and gently blend any harsh marks that you have out. Before I do the scalloped edges right down here, I want to take a bunny brush, very, very soft brush, and just barely blend out the bottom of these petals. And anywhere else on your painting that you think it might need a little blending. These are so easy to do, and you're going to love it. Just a few little strokes really brings it together. Now, you can't expect any flower that you paint to look like a flower after the first two strokes. So, got to have a little patience. Practice a little bit, and you'll be able to do it. You're going to just love it. Let's put a little scallop on this one. And the rest of this little petal. We have a petal over here. We'll go ahead and get it while I'm on the side. Give this one a little bit of a scalloped edge. Now this one wrapped around. Right under. I'm going to have to blend that one just a little bit right in there. Going to go ahead and get the other scallops on the bottom. Take your bunny brush and very gently. You try to use this brush brushing in the stroke you made. You follow the stroke that you first made, the direction of your original stroke. And we have one here. Now when we put the leaves in, the stems, and we may even put some little wildflowers in here, depending on the time I have to demonstrate for you. But while you're putting your leaves and all your stems in, if you happen to disturb something on your flower, you can always go back and put it back in. Very gently brushing, because I want this shadow right under here. Okay, I want to skip up here and start on this one. Whoops, I need the other brush. Go back to your badger brush and white paint. Loading it on both sides. I'm going to have to move around just a little bit, get out of that glare. Okay, here's your first stroke. Remember, the first stroke is curved a little. So touch and release your pressure as you come down toward the black. And then overlapping strokes. Touch and release. It's like sweeping with a broom. Touch and release your pressure. Just swoop it down. The first stroke on this petal is also curved. Overlapping strokes. Just follow your little sketch that you put on right around. Remember, on these two bottom petals, you start in the center. The vanishing point on this flower is right here. That's where the stem will be. Touch and release. Touch and release. Now your paint very quickly picks up the dark. Your brush will. Very, very quickly pick up the dark and turn it different shades of gray and white. This one, the top of, we're going to put, if we put the left side of this one over that one, we'll put this one over on this side. We'll put the right-hand side over this one, make it just a little different. Touch in the middle and sweep. Touch in the middle and sweep. And then pull it around on the bottom. At this point, you can take your bunny brush, smooth out anything that you don't like. I'll sketch in a few little petals for this one for you. We'll have one here. Let's do this one a little differently. Have one there, and maybe one right there. Touch on the outside and pull in toward your vanishing point. Sweep that a little bit further into that dark, but don't destroy the dark that you have there. This little petal, same thing. I have a petal over here. Do it the same way. I have one up here. Take your bunny brush. Anywhere you think it looks harsh, blend it in. You know, this painting is going to be only black and white, but I've done paintings on black before where I added just an accent of red or perhaps yellow or orange, and they're really nice too. So you experiment at home and see. I'm going to wipe away my little vanishing point there so that when I put in my stems and leaves, it won't show. At this point, I'm going to put the little scalloped edges on. So I'm going to wipe the gray out, and I'm going to go back to my bristle brush. It's another clean, dry brush, and clear white. When I say clear white, I mean stay out of the, I'll show you on my palette. See the different values I'm getting as I dip back into my paint from white to dark gray. So when you start to do the scallops, go into your clean white to load your brush. You want these to really show up, so let's go up here and we'll start on the top one, touching and pressing out. Scoot over to this one, touch and press up. And I'm reloading with my clear, clean white. When I go down to my palette and you can't see what I'm doing, I'm just hitting the clean white that I have on my palette. Then gently bring down any strokes that look a little harsh. Back into clean white. Let's get one here. Better go finish doing this one before I finish that one because it overlaps. Now I can finish overlapping this right petal over the left one here. And then on the outside edges, touch and press. On these bottom petals, you'll have to press down, almost straight down. It'll take a little practice, especially if you're right-handed. Let's go up here and touch a little on this one. You can change the shape, remember, on these if you're not satisfied at this point. This is the time when you can give it any shape you want. I have to move out a little. I cannot see for the light. More clean white. And then gently, gently sweep it in. I'm not crazy about the shape on that one, so I'm going to go back and change it just a little. Make that petal just a little bit larger than that one. Then take my bunny brush and put this brush down. Wipe off any excess paint because you want this dry. I'm not going to clean it, but you want it dry, so wipe off as much paint as you possibly can. Then check these flowers out and any harsh spots that you have. Go back in and gently, gently blend them out. And don't forget the bottom of the bowl on the flower. You'll want to blend those out a little. Okay, later, after I finish the leaves and the stems, I'll probably put a pretty bud up here. But I'm going to start on the leaves for you right now. Switching back to my flat Badger brush, still using only white paint. Load it on both sides. And let's put a stem. Now, probably this stem won't show, but we'll put a little bit of it. Let's curve it. What I'm looking for here is a triangle. The widest part of my composition is going to be right here, coming up to a point this way. So let's follow this stem on around. It would end up right here. You can make it a little thicker if you like. Then let's put a stem on this one. This stem is not following the vanishing point, so I'm going to make another, and it doesn't bother me to have an extra one in here. I'm going to have leaves and all kind of things. The stem would be right here. And I like to put jagged edges on my stems. I'll make certain that I go back and put a bud or something for that stem later, so I'm not concerned about that stem. Let's start out with some leaves. I'm using the top corner of my brush, loaded to a chisel edge. Going to put a few just little stems in here right now to indicate where I want my leaves to be. Can come over here and let's put one. Now you can decide when you start doing your painting, after you get a few of the leaves in, how many or how few to put in. Let's start right here at the top of this one. The end of this stem is the beginning of my leaf. So I load my brush on both sides, come to the end of it, press and pull in toward the stem. If you lose your vein, use the top corner of your brush, go back and put your leaf back in. Allow this white to mix with the dark, and you'll get different values of white and gray. Let's put one on edge here, on its side. You can go right over this one. Things overlap in nature, so don't worry about that. We'll put one right there. I'll save that for a few little tiny one-stroke leaves. Let's go over here and put one right here. Overlapping strokes headed back into the stem. A little vein. overlapping strokes. Let's come out here and put one right here, pull into the stem, overlap, and pull back into the stem. Let me do a couple more strokes on that one. And we'll put the other side. Let's skip around. The widest portion, remember, is this way. I probably want some. Here's a good place for one to come out. These will probably be the little one-stroke leaves that I'll put in later. I'm just putting some little stems in to indicate where I want them to be right now. I know I'll probably want a little twig of one-strokes out here. And I know I'll probably want something in here. Probably going to have a bud up there later. So I'm going to continue around and put broad leaves in. You're going to constantly pick up the dark that's underneath, and it will change the value in your paint. Let's put, I'm going to go ahead and start some one strokes here. I cannot see. Let me back up a little. There we go. To make these strokes, this is much like a daisy stroke. I'm pulling down and into the stem. Over here I start on the left with the full, I'll make this one again, go over the same stroke for you. The full measure of my brush on the canvas, pressing to the right, releasing my pressure and coming back into the stem. I'm going to stagger these, same thing on this side, press, pull back. Press, pull. I want another little twig coming into that. Same thing. I want a few of these little one strokes here. So you decide on your canvas where you want them to be. I may even put a fern in here for you a little bit later. Just noticed there's one in that painting. You don't have to always follow the compositions you have going. Let's put a few one strokes over here. Okay, I want a couple of broad leaves up here. Normally these broad leaves are in clusters of 2. Let's put one right here. Put your vein back in if you lose it. If you cut very hard on this black canvas, your vein will be dark because you're cutting right through the paint. And let's put one right here. Coming into, touching, pulling, and releasing, coming into the stem. Let's put one more right there. Do the other side. Same thing in reverse. You're just touching and pulling back into the stem. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put, I think I'll put a fern in here, even though it may not show up quite as well on this leaf right here. We'll try it. See, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll curve it right here, coming down into this vein. Still loading my brush on a chisel edge, making little short strokes, just pulling right into that vein. Boom, 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 boom. I'll do it very slowly for you on the other side. Ferns get larger at the bottom as they come down. So I'm just making little hash marks. Go right over your flower if you need to, right into the stem. Now if we have one, we probably need another one, so let's put one right here. We'll put it right over this leaf. Stroke. I'm on the chisel edge. Reload and get this side. Wider, wider, wider at the bottom and back into the stem. Okay, let's go up here. I think I want another leaf. Where shall I put? Oh, I'll put some one strokes in right here. Touching, pulling into the stem. From the left side, back into the stem. From the right hand side, flat, bend, back into the stem. If you practice these a little, you won't have any problem with them. Touch and pull. And I'm going to curve one right in here. And maybe a little smaller stem coming into that one. I want something coming in this way. If the stem continued, it would come back into, we won't see all of it, but if it continued, it would come back into this main stem. A couple here. And don't be afraid of going over your flower. Okay, I want a little something up here. Maybe a broadleaf. Get a little bit of this paint that's on my brush off. Come back and get the other half. And if you lose your vein, then you can, at the end, very end, go back through. Want to curve one around this way. The only thing you need to remember doing this type leaf is to pull a little, tug a little bit down and into the stem and to overlap. See that stroke? I'm pulling it down, but it's coming back into the stem. They all do that. Okay. I think I want a little bud right up here, so we'll use this stem that we had going. And I'll put just a little color in first. Don't lose all of your dark. Whoops, and I have to make sure your brush is at a chisel edge now. And I have to constantly check my triangle to make sure that it's staying there. Now, the composition on florals does not have to be a triangle. This particular, it's sometimes called a Christmas tree. This particular composition is that. Sometimes a Christmas tree composition looks exactly like that, like a tree, and the flowers are in a vase or whatever. You could have a floral composition and a nice, graceful curve, whatever you want. This particular one I decided to have in a triangle, so once you start your composition, check real often and make sure that you are headed in the right direction. I think I'll pull this little twig right over that broadleaf and add a little more white to my paint so it'll show up. This value being much lighter than the gray that's underneath, it will show. Give your painting a little depth. Okay, I see a place where I'm going to clean my brush because I want very clean white paint to go on it, and I had a lot of gray in it at this point. I want a little sprig of cover leaves right in here, right over my flower. So I'm going to just move a little clear paint to a clean place on my palette, reload my brush, and decide where exactly I want my little twigs to be. I want to follow the curve that I have established, so I'll probably put one there, coming into the stem. And let's put one a little shorter, right over that dark area. Coming back into the stem. If I want another one, I can add it later. Touching, this needs to be very clear, very clean to go over this white. And touch, pulling back. Let's do this one. Putting a few leaves in front of your flowers sets your composition. Sets the flowers back in your composition, gives it a little bit of depth, so don't be afraid to do that. Let's put another one coming right off here. And I think before I finish this composition, I may even have a little daisy or something right there. Let's go up and work on the bud a little bit and the area around the bud. Reloading my brush. Let me move around. I hope I'm not in your way. I want to put a few more. Oh, this is a bare area right here, so we certainly want to put something in there. Would be a good place to put a broadleaf. Constantly check, back up and look and make certain that you are covering the places that you want to cover and going where you want to go in your painting. And maybe another little sprig coming right off this one. And I want another larger leaf right down here under my fern. I covered all my beautiful leaves that I had down here. And these at the bottom can be a little larger, of course, than the ones at the top. Okay, now I can go back to that bud that I was going to work on for a few minutes. Let's put a calyx on this bud, starting out on the chisel edge of my brush, the entire width of my brush, touching, pressing, pull back into the stem. Same thing over here, touch, press, and pull back. If you want to put a little chalice on it, you can. It's not necessary on these particular buds, but you can certainly do it. Okay, I want to go right in this area and put in a few daisies. Now sometimes when I do this painting, I will add a touch of red or orange for the center of the daisies. I'm not going to on this one. I want to keep it totally very dark darks and very light lights. But before I do that, I want to decide also what I'm going to do with this particular little stem right here. I think I'm just going to curve it around and put a couple of little strokes on it. I'm just checking right now for my balance and my composition to see where I want different things. I think before I put the little daisies in, I'm going to put some centers in for you. Now we already have the dark center, so all you have to do is put the little stamen on. When I paint these poppies in color, of course you have to go back and put the center in, but we already have a dark center. So all that's necessary, if you'll use the very corner of your brush and make a few little lines, fan these out now. Fan them out around these petals. Give them a slight little curve. Make a few of them a little lighter so they'll show up in color. Flip up here and put a few in this one. I'm going to have to move this way real quickly. I'll be out of your way in just a second. Just pulling straight into the center between these two little petals. Now, if you'll load your brush to a chisel edge and use the corner, you can just barely dab in some little pollen. Let's go to this one right down here. Tap. Just tapping. Now, don't go in here and say, you need one there, and you need one there, and you need one there. Pop them in at random. They look a lot looser, a lot better. And I usually like to put a couple right down in front to show that they're foreshortened, they're closer to us. Same thing up here. just the tip. Turn it over and you can use the other corner. And show a little bit of pollen in the center of your flower. Okay, let me put this brush down and find a filbert. And I think I'm going to put in a few little, either wildflowers or daisies for it. I'll show you how to do both. The little wildflowers are the same stroke. They're just headed in a different direction. So if this is a filbert brush. It's badger hair also. It just has a rounded end. Okay, and yeah, let's go ahead and we'll put maybe 3 daisies. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3. I could put 2 daisies in here and then something else down here. You don't want an even number of flowers and a floral. That's what I was counting. Now I'm loading this badger brush the same way I did the other one. I have both sides loaded and I have quite a bit of paint in there. If the center of my daisy is going to be, we'll have one that's facing us. We'll go ahead and put 3 in here and I'll worry about the number in a few minutes. I'll put whatever I have to in here to have it uneven. Let's go up here to this one. We'll have it facing that way. If you'll touch, press down. Look at that, the entire width of my, you can't see. Maybe you'll be able to see on this side. I was just checking the monitor and you could not see it. Maybe you'll be able to see this one. If I press my brush down the full width, release my pressure and pull in toward the center of the daisy. Press, release. Now I'm reloading almost every time because I want the white to show. I have a lot of dark right here that I need to cover. Press, pull, release. On one of the shows, I believe it's the one that showed last week, I painted daisies for you in a basket. So I'll do another one real slowly for you. Let's see, we had one right here. Let's have it, all of the petals drooping down a little bit. If they're going to droop down, the ones in the center will be a little longer than the ones on the side. Loading on both sides, touching, pressing, pulling into the little button on the daisy. And I don't have room to do a full one right here. I don't want to cover that pretty petal, so I'm going to turn this one to the side also. Have to go over that stroke. The white didn't show. Now you'll want some of your strokes to be longer than the others. You don't want to go around and make a perfect little circle. Okay, let's skip down to this area, right over the fern, right here. And let me see what I want. I think I'll put some little wildflowers in here. So I have 6 flowers in here so far, counting the bud. I'll put 2 or 3 little tiny wildflowers for you. I don't know what kind of flowers these are. They are filler for a painting and they're very sweet. I'll just show you how to do it, and if you like them you can do them, and if not you can leave them out. You start by making 3 strokes. Here's the first one. Can you come up real close so we can get a real good close-up right here? These are tiny little strokes, so they'll really need, there we go. This is the first stroke. I'll go over it again. Very much like the daisy stroke where you touch and release. Go just a little outside it, touch and pull one in, a little outside that one and pull one in. Reload your brush, and this is the center. We'll touch, pull, and release back to the center. These are very, very simple little flowers, but they add a lot to, and let's put a little center in it. So I was trying to find a really dark spot so they would really show up for you. We'll put one right here. Touch, touch, touch. See how that's, let me do it right here for you. I can wipe this out later, but let's go this dark, dark area right here so I'm going to paint one of these little, this is not part of the composition. I just want a dark area to demonstrate for you. Touch, touch, touch. See how it's curved around and each one is laying on top of the other? And then you can, if this is the center, you can come in toward the center. And then you have a little wildflower. You can put a stem on it or whatever you like. But this is how it was done. Let me do it one more time for you. I have a lot of people who have trouble making this simple, simple little flower. It takes a little practice. The first stroke, then curve and curve. If that's the center, then you will pull into the center. And you can make as many or as few of these as you like on your painting. You grab a little black and I'll cover this up. Just wanted to demonstrate for you how to do this. When I complete this painting, I can go back and get all of that gray out. That won't cause a problem. Okay, I'm going to go back up here. Just in case it didn't show over these leaves, I wanted you to be sure you knew how to do it. So let's put one. Let's finish this one we had started here. Touch and pull in. Let's put the little center in so you'll see the little vanishing point right there. And a petal right there. And it looks like it's flipped over a little bit. That's why you want these three little foreshortened strokes that are right there. Okay. Let's put one more right here. 1, 2, we'll have this one facing down a little more. Still using the filbert brush. Put a little center in. Pull, pressing all the way down and pulling in. Okay, let me step back and take a look and see what I want to do. I still feel that it's a little bit bare right in here. So I want to go back. Sometimes you can extend a petal on a flower. On this one I don't want to extend it anymore. I think it's big enough. But I can add a few more of the little one-stroke leaves in there. So if you have a variety of strokes for leaves, if you know how to make several, you can complete your entire painting if you have a little problem area like that and not have to worry because you have several different ways you could attack it. I wouldn't want, for instance, I wouldn't want to put a broad leaf in there. It would cover too much of my petals. I don't want a long blade leaf in there. I don't have room. So I'm just going to continue and put a few more of these little one-stroke leaves in here. And yes, I'm going right over that little wildflower that I put in. And parts of my poppy. And I'm going to put one larger right there. Okay, let me look around and see what else I can show you. I think I want to go back and spend a little bit more time on my poppies now that I have most of my foliage in. I have to check and see. I may want to go back a little bit later and add a few more little things right here, but not much. Remember, we have these need to be, could be a little bit lighter so they'll show up. I want to keep that triangle. I don't want to lose it. Let's put these right over that little calyx. And I might want to bring a little tiny one right over here. And maybe some right there. Okay, those look good to me right now. I'm going to go back and spend a little bit more time on my poppy. I want to change the shape of these two petals just a little bit. Wasn't real happy with them. I thought I had a clean bristle brush, but I don't guess I do. I'm going to have to clean one. Just raking across the thinner in my can. Now you can treat these bristle brushes fairly rough. They're strong. They can take a lot. And I need clean white to do this, remember. So I need to turn my palette around and find a clean area. I have a lot of gray tones there from going into that black medium. Okay, I'm loading my brush on both sides. I'll pull my palette out so my cameraman can, bless his heart, can get it. Here's the white. If you'll pull it out, hold your brush up, pressing on each side. All right, let's go right up here to this one. I made some little leaves here, and I disturbed the edge on this one, and I want to straighten it out a little. So I'm going to go right up here, and I want to make it a little larger. Change the shape a little bit on it. And we'll go around and make this one. Extend it a little, come in on this one, go out on that one. See how you can physically change the entire shape of that petal. And then brush, brush, brush down very gently. Okay, let's go up to this one. I want to change it just a little bit. Up and down. Make them a little ragged on the edges. This is all the final detail work that you do to your paintings that really make them pleasing for you. Now this is very much the same, on the same level. I don't like that at all, so I'm going to change it. The petals on these poppies really reach. And then don't forget to pull very gently. Back down. Let's do a little bit on this one. And where else? While I'm looking around to see what else I want to do on this painting, there are a few things about florals that I wanted to share with you. Okay. Don't forget to pull down any of these strokes that you put in. The first thing that you need to remember is that you want an uneven number of flowers. You need to choose a composition and stick with it, either a Christmas tree, an S, or whatever composition you choose, stick with it. Normally, the broadleaves are in groups of 3 or 5, so you want to remember that. Every one of your flowers will have a vanishing point. Every petal will have its own vanishing point. The vanishing point on the flower is always at the stem, where the stem connects to the flower. The vanishing point on each petal is the center of the flower, where it also, the entire flower connects to the stem, and all the petals connect in that area. So each one of these petals had its own vanishing point, and it was right here where it connects. The source on this particular painting, if you have a bouquet, is right down here. If I wanted to gather these flowers up, I would do it right here. So all the stems have a vanishing point. They come to the source. Okay? Need to keep that in mind. Let me see if there's anything else. You know, I did not show you how to do a blade leaf tonight. I could demonstrate right here on this black. I have a little bit of time left. I think I have enough time to show you how to do that. They also look very, very nice in florals, and they're really quite easy to do. Using the same brush, loading it on both sides to a chisel edge. Let's go right here. Come up here and start on the full width of your brush, right here on the canvas. Touch. Let's say it's coming. Let's say we were going to continue the stem right here. You would touch, press, turn your brush, come back up on the chisel edge, and come right back into the stem. If you wanted a small one, could put one like that. Now, if you have these one place in your painting, you're going to have them in a couple of places. You wouldn't have one half of a fern and not have the other. That's why I put the other half in. You wouldn't have a blade leaf in just one area and not in another. So, and they don't have to all be the same size. So break them up. Oh, and another thing I wanted to explain to you was, just because we have 3 flowers here, 1, 2, counting the bud, 3, doesn't mean you necessarily have to show 3 stems. We could have 5 or 6 stems. We have so many things going on in this floral, in this bouquet, that's not necessary that you show just the exact amount of stems. So let me look here, fill this back in, see if there's anything else I want to demonstrate for you real quick. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm done with the painting. I had a little bit of extra time. And oh, I know what I want to show you. I don't know if I'm going to have room here to show you. I have to make a little mini vase for you. I want to show you how to, pardon me, if you want to put a bouquet of florals in a vase, let's use this little area right here. And I'll show you how to decide how to decide where to put the lines for your vase. If you start out with a straight line that represents the center of your vase, if this is the bottom and this is the top, if you want a nice, let's say we want a nice oval, really curved vase here, put you some little lines through, following the shape you want. Okay, and then, can you see this? I don't think you're close enough. Real quick, before I have to go. Put your little lines in to represent, and then follow it on each side. And then you'll have the dimensions of your vase going in. You can put your flowers or whatever you want in here. I've enjoyed doing this for you. I'm about to run out of time. Wish every one of you a Merry Christmas, and please don't forget to send in your pictures of your barns, 7333 23rd Avenue here in Kenosha, to Carolyn's Art Studio. They'll get to me. Thank you. Bye-bye.